All right, we have somebody named Michael Knowles. He's going to come on and talk about something called Coachella. Now, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. Until today, I thought Coachella was the name of the fairy godmother who turned Cinderella's pumpkin into a coach. I thought it was Coachella. That was what that is. But Knowles is going to explain it all to us. All right, Michael Knowles.
There he is. How you doing? I'm glad you survived the light bulb attack.
Was that amazing? Seriously, I've never seen anything like. I was explaining it to my wife, and you say to your wife, "A light bulb almost killed me," and she says, "What do you want for dinner?"
You know what I think God was trying to tell you with the light bulb attack?
Let's hear it.
I think he was telling you to buy a lampshade so that it doesn't explode in your face.
If it wasn't for the lampshade, really, it would have taken my head off. It was like the lampshade deflected it downward. But even so, if it had been facing me, it would have deflected it right downward onto me.
Right.
Yeah. So how was your trip?
Oh, the trip was a lot of fun. I went to Mobile, Alabama, the greatest city in America.
Wonderful city, yeah.
It is wonderful. And then I also went to Philadelphia, a city in America.
Yeah.
I was there. I spoke at the Wharton School of Business, also known as the University of Pennsylvania, really better known as Trump University, President Trump's alma mater.
That's right. As the Ivy Leaguer that he is, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And he has all the best words, folks, and I guess he learned them at Wharton. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I think both speeches are online. The one was on the conservative movement now in Alabama, and then the other was on reasons to vote for Donald Trump. And it was really fortuitous that I gave that speech a day after Donald Trump ended the Korean War after 70 years and denuclearized the peninsula.
I know. I have to say, these trips, meeting these people who to me are kids, I keep calling them kids, I know they're young adults, but meeting them, I think it's so encouraging. I mean, especially these are all the kids I didn't hang out with when I was a young, artistic, crazy man, but they're so together and intelligent, and each one of them is like a little Shapiro. They have all these facts in their head, and they know so much.
And no feelings whatsoever.
And no feelings whatsoever. Of course not. We don't want people with feelings. No.
It is true. It's really cutting into our stogie time, because you were gone most of last week, too. I know. But you were speaking at a Christian college.
I was, which was doubly great. I mean, it was doubly great because not only are they put together and informed, they also have the spiritual wisdom way beyond their years. Like I kept saying to them, don't you want to be taking drugs and screwing each other and drinking too much? Yeah, no, they didn't seem to be that. Yeah. So speaking of Coachella, I have to tell you, I literally know nothing about Coachella. People say Coachella, and I nod knowingly. Like I say, Coachella. I have no. What is it?
I can explain it to you.
All right.
It is a music festival that takes place over 2 consecutive weekends. 250,000 people go, and they listen to terrible musicians, and they do a bunch of drugs, and they grope each other.
Oh,
that's Coachella in a nutshell.
I had a dream like that once. It's in California?
It's in California. It's in the desert.
Yeah.
You go to the desert, you take a bunch of synthetic drugs, you see things, and you grab the copious, unveiled body parts that are kind of milling about.
Nice.
This is a true, the editor of Teen Vogue, or an editor of Teen Vogue, said that she was at Coachella for 10 hours and was groped 22 times. And I mentioned this because, look, music festivals, you just go and do a lot of drugs and have sex. That's the point of them.
Okay.
And so
I'm taking your word for this. I've never been to a music festival.
Well, I asked a bunch of my friends who've been to Coachella, men and women, not totally conservatives or whatever. And one of the questions that I got in response when I said, yeah, this girl was groped all the time, they said, well, what was she wearing? Well, it's Coachella. I said, you can't say that. You're going to get accused of shaming people.
Yeah, you don't want to shame people for walking around with provocative clothes when everybody's on drugs.
Yeah,
why would you shame people?
Right.
So who runs this thing?
So this is one of the I did not know this until because I didn't go to Coachella. I went to Couchella. I sat on my couch and it streamed it. So I did wonder. I said, who puts this on? Because it was a little strange. The thing that kind of tipped me off to this is that Eminem did a bit. He closed out one of the nights. And, Eminem has been doing all these anti-Trump songs and trying to get attention from Trump.
Notice me, notice me.
Notice me, please. And it's made him even more washed up than he previously was. And then at Coachella, he did did this big patriotic number, and he said, I'm paraphrasing because it was more profanity laden,
Right.
but he said, it's so good to be back in America. I love this country. Who loves this country? Big
Really?
American flag. And there was no irony. There was no punchline. It actually was this kind of patriotic opening.
Wow. So Eminem got woke to America.
Eminem finally got woke.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very political. You know, Beyonce was the big story at, they called it Baychella, you know, that everyone has to pretend that she's some great talent and her music is good.
This is your sister, right?
This is my sister.
The other Knowles. Yeah.
I hate to, criticize my relatives, but I do it to Hillary so often. I can do it to Queen Bey, and which makes me royalty, by the way. But even her bit, while terrible, wasn't political. And I think it's because the owner of Coachella is a conservative Christian.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, he's this billionaire conservative Christian. His name is Philip Anschutz.
Oh, sure. He did Walden Media, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, he's major media empires, gives millions and millions of dollars to Republican candidates.
Right.
He gave $2 million in 2016 and gave, I think, $250,000 in 2017 just for those special elections. He is, gives a lot of money to pro-life and pro-gun. The guy's great, and he puts on this ridiculous thing every year, which is a little odd to me, He owns Coachella, he owns Major League Soccer, and I consider this a conservative truly infecting the liberal culture. If you wanted to get in there and kind of control it, you'd go to the biggest music festival and like the worst sport. The weakest.
The wimpiest sport,
right.
And the big, absolutely. So this is actually a plot by conservatives to take over the minds of drugged up left-wingers.
Yeah, that's right. And give them all a bunch of drugs so they're more susceptible. And no coincidence, over the weekend, Kanye West got woke and, is now a conservative Republican.
I saw that. But somewhere in there, I thought I heard you say that Beyonce's act was terrible, which now all I heard about this, and I'm telling you, like, I pay no attention to these, but all I was, you see headlines out of the corner of your eye, is that she was magnificent. She outstripped Coachella. Coachella was her. I mean, it was just, she owned it.
Oh, I can tell that you've read any newspaper today. The headlines, I pulled a couple. The Detroit Free Press said, Beyonce reigned. It was a historic moment. Elle magazine said, Beyonce did the same set both days. She did exactly the same set. She just changed her costumes. And Elle had to spin this in a good way. So they said Beyonce had completely new costumes, like as though that were an accomplishment of some sort. Everybody is reporting on this. Beyonce, in her songs, she quotes Malcolm X. Her music is very racially charged. She wore a hoodie with a fake historically black college on it. Very racially charged, which is what's getting her a lot of cultural currency, I think.
Okay.
But the music is terrible. I actually think she's a good singer.
She has a good
obviously
voice.
Good singer.
Even I can hear she has a really good voice.
Yeah, but the music is so dreadful. I pulled just some lyrics from songs that she sings at this thing. I'll edit out the profanity.
All right.
We woke up in the kitchen saying, how the heck did this stuff happen? Oh baby, drunk in love, we be all night. We be all night and everything all right. No complaints for my body, so fluorescent under these lights. We sex again in the morning. Your breastises is my breakfast. We going in, we be all night.
Oh, wow.
So that's like...
It's kind of Shakespearean.
It's very Shakespearean.
Yeah.
And there's one song called Run the World.
Yeah.
Girls, and this is a big Beyonce song. The lyrics are, girls, we run this mother, yeah, who run the world, girls. And then they just repeat that like a million times. And that's about 70% of the song.
You girls aren't very bright. You got to keep it simple.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, girls, yeah. And that song took 6 writers and 4 producers to make.
No, come on.
Yes, and Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Was each writer assigned a word?
Yeah, a syllable, I think. Yeah. Then if you look at Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, a song from 30 years ago, one writer, one producer, magnificent popular music.
One writer wrote Tosca,
That's right, yeah. So it was interesting. I'm not happy that you made me suffer through this awful thing in Coachella, but it was quite interesting because Coachella is relatively conservative. It's totally corporate. It's not indie at all. It's run by a major conservative donor, and the whole tenor of it was basically patriotic and fine.
Huh.
Also, relatively is a relative term, and we should weep for this culture, because the culture, it is relatively conservative, but the culture is so terrible, and this is the cultural event of the year.
It is sad. That is sad. And reading those lyrics, I'm sorry. I mean, really, we can do better. Cole Porter lived in this country once, you know? You be Blake. Anyway, all right. Well, what's going to be on your show today?
So today we're going to be talking about the Great Revolt. I'm talking to Selena Zito about her new book and about whether this Trump thing was just a blip and it's just his personality, or if it really reflects something about the culture and how he'll do in 2020, how his movement will do in 2024. And this actually does tie in with Coachella because, you know, we all say Beyonce is this great, amazing queen and it's all wonderful and all this, but nobody believes that. I don't think some people, very few people believe that, but we have to say it. That is the politically correct cultural narrative. Every newspaper headline has to read that, but I think we don't believe it. And I think when we're in the privacy of that voting booth, we're not gonna vote for the things that we tell public opinion pollsters or that go on TV or any of that. I think there's this big gap between what we say the pop culture is and kind of the beating heart of America. And so we're going to be talking about that with Selena and hopefully see if President Covfefe can get another 4 years to bring world peace around.
You know, there's such a thing called, I think that's a really good insight, and there's such a thing called blue lies. And blue lies are like, you know, they have white lies. Blue lies are lies that you tell that you know aren't true, but everyone around you says, yeah, you know, like Colin Kaepernick talking about like mass incarceration of black people in America, and all the people around him go, yeah. You know, even they don't believe it, and I think you're absolutely right. All right, Michael Knowles, if you have time this week, let's get together for a stogie. Because,
let's do it. I'm coming
together.
Down from my peyote trip from Coachella now, so I should be ready to have a cigar around Thursday or Friday.
You got it. All right, it's good to see you. Thanks a lot.